Thank you for being here. Couple of questions, Mr. Obadal, similar vein. So, we understand you're from Anduril, and no one quibbles with that. It's a company that does a lot of good work with the Defense Department. But if I'm hearing correctly, you are not going to divest from all of your stock. And I know you've got a deal, but the average soldier, as you know, would have to be open about what stock they have, what conflicts of interest they may have if they were a contracting officer. So you're keeping some of your Anduril stock and selling others. Is that correct?
Well, Senator, it's not stock. The Anduril is not a public company. It's equity.
Equity.
And so I will always act in adherence with my agreement with the Office of Government Ethics as they've laid out the guidelines, and I will always act in accordance with the law.
And will that agreement be made public so we can understand? Because it's true, you have a perception problem, right? This administration looks around every corner like it's milking the cow of America with conflicts of interest, doing things we've never seen before, right? Charging to get into the White House, setting up, as we heard, cryptocurrency that the President of the United States and his family are backing. We already have reports of people buying that cryptocurrency so they can get some relief on tariffs. The perception problem is real. So we don't want you to have that perception problem. You're leading an incredibly, or potentially leading an incredibly important institution in our country. Will you commit to making that deal public, at least to this committee?
Without a doubt, Senator,
Great.
I welcome the transparency.
Great. That would be great. Just, I think, and then I understand. I mean, the concern is just this past week, the Army announced its transformation initiative, and a huge amount of that is geared towards drones and other things that Anduril, your former company or your current company, is neck deep in. And again, I don't have an inherent problem with the transformation. I just have a problem with the idea, the perception to our troops that their leaders can do things that they themselves cannot, that their leaders might be able to do, enrich themselves or get away with security clearance violations that they themselves cannot. And as a former CIA officer, and you yourself as a former soldier, you know that sense of injustice when you're at the bottom of the food chain and you see bosses doing something differently. So I'm glad you're willing to make it public, but given the amount of transformation that will potentially enrich a place like Anduril, what else are you going to do, again, to hive yourself off so that there's not even a whiff that you are making transformation decisions about the Army to enrich yourself and others you work with?
Well, Senator, I appreciate the opportunity to address it in more in depth, but it comes down to, if confirmed, one of the first things to do is work through with the Office of General Counsel the implementation guidance of any recusal, the same that all senior government officials do, and then make sure that daily I am adhering to that and doing regular reviews with OGC.
So I think it would help us greatly in our working relationship if you just provided that again to the committee so that we understand, so that when we're asked, we can say, yes, there's a major transformation going on in the Army. That's going to be difficult for a lot of us, a lot of our home states. But if you want us to be bought in, as I know your leadership does, because they called us this week, then please make sure we understand that there's not a milking of the cow going on for folks at the top of the Army. Mr. O'Keefe, I asked your potential future boss, Mr. Tata, this past week about access to the data of every single soldier, airman, Marine in the entire force, right? You are the holder of everyone's personal information, their health information, everything on their spouses, everything on where they live, basing information. Pete Hegseth has said he welcomes Doge in. Doge has already shown that they cannot properly handle that data. There's been an agency, the NLRB, where they got access to the data. The Chinese just followed them and went after it within like hours. I'm not saying it's intentional, but the idea of the sensitivity of this data personally and as a national security issue. Mr. Tata said that he would, quote, sign a contract with Doge. Do you commit to providing that contract on the sensitive control of data to this committee?
Senator, absolutely. Whatever agreements or the structure of the sort of access to any sort of critical information, happy to work with the committee and your office to make sure that you have confidence in the department's ability to safeguard. As you mentioned, this is critical, very sensitive information, health records, addresses. The department knows more about its workforce than perhaps any other federal agency, for good reason. But that comes with a lot of trust. And if confirmed, you have my commitment that that trust is well placed.
Great. We'll look forward to that contract with Doge. I yield back.
Thank you, Senator Slotkin. And just for the committee's awareness, the committee has received all of Mr. Obadal's information. We have that, and it is also all publicly available on the government website. There is a government ethics website. We all have access to that information. So Mr. Obadal has been completely transparent and has been adhering to the rules of this committee.